The gender war that has been plaguing our society and the world at large has become truly unbearable. But you see, I believe we need to provide some context to what's going on, especially when we compare feminism and misogyny. And I'm going to show you through this episode why feminism actually isn't that bad. You have to listen to find out why. And I'm going to show you where this counter to misogyny, which many people term as feminism or believe is feminism, I'm going to show you where that actually is coming from and what it actually is. Sounds a bit confusing now, but stay with me. You're going to see where I'm coming from in a bit. My name is Brianna Vernon, and this is the Independent Report. So nowadays it seems that people are against feminism, right? Even a lot of women. And I too, at one point, I would say, oh, I'm not a feminist because feminists, they hate men. And I would say that I hate men because I believe feminism is extremist. It's an extreme level of something is what I had believed it to be. And I truly thought that it was the opposite of misogyny, which is, in a nutshell, the hatred of women, the prejudice against women, disliking women. And I thought, well, isn't that what feminism is? But no, that's what we have been taught to believe, because you see, feminism is actually a good thing. It's just, lobbying for the rights of women. That's what it has been throughout history. Feminism is the reason that women are able to vote. It's the reason, there are women in places of power in politics. It's the reason women can now own their own property, have credit cards. Feminism has done wonders. And so nowadays, when I hear even women say that, don't be a feminist, feminism is bad, oh, that's toxic feminism and all that stuff, I now realize, okay, maybe you don't truly understand what feminism is, because that was the goal of it. Now, has it been tainted to a degree? Possibly, as many things can be tainted. But the truth is, there's actually a word that is able to define what many people are calling feminism these days. And that word is misandry, not feminism. So feminism is good in its essence. Misandry is actually the complete opposite to what misogyny is. So remember, misogyny is basically prejudice against women, hatred of women, and misandry is the prejudice, dislike, and hatred of men. Prejudice against men, dislike of, and hatred of men by women. Okay, so now that we've gotten those very important definitions out of the way, now we can go even further into the discussion and the fact that a lot of people who dislike feminism nowadays and say it's horrible and all that stuff, I think they need to understand that, truthfully, both feminism and misandry, as terrible as it is, because, like I said, I don't believe in extremist views. I believe that extremist views block you from objective thinking. So I really don't subscribe to any extremist view, whether it be in terms of religion or any particular ideology, because extremism clouds your vision and just keeps you on one side of understanding. And so it really limits you from growing and seeing the truth in many cases. And misogynists are extremists, and so are misandrists, right? But the truth is that both feminism, which is, as we mentioned, lobbying for the rights of women, and misandry, which is the hatred of men by women, both of them were in response to misogyny. Let's just be real. Like I said, I don't hate men, so this is not me lobbying for misandry, but I am seeking to bring clarity, objective reasoning towards the discussion, which I've seen it's been lacking terribly. So feminism, misogyny, direct response to misogyny, because you see, misogyny, it has been dated back to the medieval ages, long time. Feminism has more so been dated as far back that I've seen, the 14th, 15th century, more so popularly in the 19th century, especially in 1884. It was, if I'm not mistaken, where there was the first feminist convention held in New York. And so you see by those dates alone that feminism was in direct response to misogyny, because misogynists believe that women are property, that they have no rights, that they are created to serve men. And there are a lot of men who still think like that today. So there are still a lot of misogynists. And so in trying to gain freedom and gain our rights, women who became feminists and thought leaders centuries back, they started to push back against these barriers, and rightfully so. And because of that, women now have the rights that we have always deserved. It's baffling to me that you will have men who think that women are property, that women are created to serve men, when we are literally from the same species. We are basically the same apart from our reproductive organs, the way we think, and facial features for the most part. But looking at a man, looking at a woman, clearly the same human beings. Just as you would look at a lion and a lioness and tell that they are cut from the same cloth. Just one is female and one is male. And so the conversation just needs to be properly had at this point. Misogyny is the start of all this. Now, the reason for misogyny even starting in the first place, that's a whole deeper discussion. There are so many reasonings behind that. There are so many thoughts on that. People argue that it stems from how men have been grown up from they were little boys, how they've been conditioned to not showcase emotions. And if they do showcase emotions, then they're told, "Are you a girl? Stop acting like a girl, be a man." And so many people argue that that dumbing down of natural human instincts, which emotions are, they're not specific to any gender, but that dumbing down of that and discouraging of that in men, many argue that that is one of the things that has led to misogyny. And so many men now, when they experience these emotions or they see women experiencing these emotions because they've been taught that emotions are for the weak, they associate women with being weak, because women are generally more in touch with our emotions, which is perfectly fine. To be led by our emotions, no, but to be in touch with them and to know that they are real and to feel them, perfectly human. That's what most men lack. And so it can be argued that this is one of the issues that causes men to hate women. Maybe it's that they wish they could portray some of these emotions that women are so freely able to do, and so it causes some form of disdain within them. That is also a part of the argument that I've heard. And then I've also heard it said that it's because men are physically stronger, physically superior, that they are more logical thinkers, yada, 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 yada. I've heard it all. But what I truly believe has caused misogyny is misplacement of the male ego. You see, one thing that I know is absolutely true. Males and females are not only physically different, but we are psychologically different. We were created that way. We think differently. And so I truly believe that by design, Men are to be the hunters, the providers, protectors. That is innate within them, most of them, unless they have sort of dumbed it down. And women, we truthfully have a more innate desire to nurture, to support in various ways. A tender touch a woman will generally bring. A man brings the house, a woman makes it into a home. So the man basically provides, let's say, a seed and the woman plants it. That whole balance is where I believe the man and the woman works best. But the issue, I think, comes from when males misplace that ego or abuse that ego. Because when a man is unable, when a man truly wants to provide and he's unable to do so, his ego is hurt, even more so than if it were a woman. His ego is truly hurt when he feels like he can't protect his family. That's innate for him to feel hurt by that. And so the ego in that sense is natural, and it's there within the man to cause him to want to rise to the occasion. Now, when that ego is being abused, it causes the man to want to exert power over the woman and to believe that because he is the provider, because he is the protector, that he is more important. But that is as if, or can be likened to, a man who is possibly on the front line, not realizing the importance of the person who is pretty much the pillar or holding up the structure. I'd liken it to a man being the wall around a building, with a woman being the columns, the support for that building. And so for me, those two responsibilities and roles are different, but equally important, so important. And so you can't do without the other. Men need women, women need men. It's a relationship. But the inflated ego and the misplaced ego and the abusing of that ego, I believe, through corrupted thinking, is where it's gone wrong. And then that corrupted thinking flows through generations and has caused so many men to mistreat women. And naturally, as a form of uprising against that, women created feminism, which in its essence is perfectly fine. Because if you are being oppressed, then it's natural to find or want to find a way to combat that oppression, which women, I'd say, to a great degree, we have been successful in doing. Now, the issue arises where women now begin to mirror misogyny and hate men, which is misandry, that I don't agree with, because the truth is, when you study and check back at history, there were also a lot of men who were feminists, who supported the feminist movement. And so that goes to say that not all men are misogynists. A large number are, truthfully. But not all men are. Because misogyny has been sort of institutionalized, engraved in our culture to an extent, not so much misandry. You're seeing a rise of it now, but it's not to the degree that misogyny is. And so, misandry, I don't agree with. But it is a response to misogyny. And so if we're going to have a conversation about misandry being horrible, which it is, then we first have to look at the root of it. Why does misandry exist? Because of misogyny. So I don't want to hear any man saying, oh, women, misandry, they're doing this. Fine. But you can't stop a reaction without stopping where it's coming from or looking at what's causing that reaction. If you stop that reaction, then another reaction will happen. And so the gaslighting that's taking place where men and even women are attacking other women to say, oh, don't be like this, don't be upset at men. You have to remember, if someone is lashing out after they have been oppressed, it's not fair to say to that person that you have no right to do so. Try to find out where it's coming from. A lot of women, yes, they are misandrous just because of what they've been taught around them. But it's the same with misogyny. So if we don't nip it in the bud, it's going to continue. So you have a lot of misandrists now who they've been grown to hate men. They've been grown to see men as weak. But who were they grown by? Possibly by women who were victims of misogyny, and that has now turned them against men, and they have passed that on to their children without any context. These are how these things happen. Because when you look at history, misogyny began long before misandry. Let's just keep it a buck. Let's be real for once. Can we do that? Do we really want to improve society, or do we just want to have podcasts and talk a bunch of foolishness? Because I feel like that's what most people are doing. If you're going to be on a platform, add value or get off of it. There are enough people yapping. If you're going to yap, yap with sense. And bring some context and value to what is being said in this space. So it's not feminism that is the problem, it is misandry and misogyny. So it's not feminism versus misogyny, it's misandry versus misogyny, or misogyny versus women. And I'm going to even show you guys a clip of how, well, no, the clip doesn't exactly show that, but more so the comments under the video. The comment section, that's where I saw a lot of women who were showcasing a bit of misandry, or they were thinking they were being feminist, but they were confused. I'm gonna insert that video right here. Take a look at it.
Buddy! Huh? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I've been looking for you.
I'm still on the driveway.
Why?
Because it's snowing. It's blizzarding. Santa's coming.
What are you doing? Come here.
What? It's slippery. Careful. What? I'm using it.
No. You don't do that. I take care of you.
I've been doing this my whole life.
It doesn't matter. I take care of you now. You're not allowed.
I am allowed.
You can be out here in the cold.
I can do whatever I want to do.
You can. But
Give
I
me
do
my
this.
shovel back.
No, I do this.
I'm warmed up. I'm warm.
Right. I do
All
this.
I want. Leave me. Listen. Give me my shovel back. Give me.
No. You're not allowed. You get inside. Get you some hot chocolate.
Not. No. You're not taking.
No.
Ethan.
You're not allowed.
Oh.
You're not allowed.
Because I'm a girl.
No, because I take care of you now.
I take care of myself.
So as you can see from that video, the woman, she was shoveling up the snow, and the man, he came out and he's saying, no, what are you doing? I do that, right? I want to do that. I take care of you. And she was saying, I can do whatever I want. And he was saying, yes, you can, but you're not allowed to do this. And she said, what? Because I'm a girl? And he said, no, not because you're a girl, because I take care of you. But yet you still had women in the comment section who were saying that's a red flag because what do you mean he said you're not allowed? That's a red flag. That's a red flag. And I clearly realized that the comment section was filled with women who did not understand what a healthy relationship with a man could look like. Now, I don't know these people. I don't know if they have a completely healthy relationship, but let's just go off of that one video. A man with his ego in its essence is good because no man who is truly a man would want to see his woman shoveling up snow, mowing the lawn, knocking nail with a hammer, building a desk or whatever. It's not to say that women can't do these things, but it's just that most men, they want to take on these more strenuous tasks because it helps them to feel useful and knowing, and not useful in a way of being degrading, but to know that their strength, which men are stronger than women physically, to know that their strength is respected and valued. And so when you are doing all the tasks now that a man would be able to do or would be doing, then what is he gonna do? You have to understand how men and women have been designed. It's just how it is. They love to do these things for their women and for their families. It gives them a sense of accomplishment, and that's totally fine. And so he's now saying to her, you're not allowed. And it's not that he's saying it in a way to say he's belittling her, but he's coming from a place, at least how it sounded to me and how I know a lot of men think. It's coming from a place of wanting to take care of you, wanting to take care of those heavier tasks, to lift that burden off of someone he loves. But you had women in the comment section blowing their heads off because he said you're not allowed, yet not focusing on the fact that he also said, not because you're a girl, so he's not belittling her gender, but because I take care of you. They forgot when he said, when she said to him, I can do anything I want, and he said, yes, you can, but not this. He's basically saying, I'm not trying to say you are incapable. I just want to be able to do these heavier things for you. That's all. But misandry and misunderstood feminism has many women just going crazy in the comments over something that's unnecessary and you don't need to go crazy over. And so we need to educate our children and we need to educate society on these things. There would be no feminism without misogyny, and there would be no misandry without misogyny based on history and what has been the case thus far. Right? But at the same time, there are still a lot of men who aren't misogynist, but they get the short end of the stick because a lot of men have been painted in that light. But a woman now who is not looking from a clear perspective will associate everything he says as him being misogynistic. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's a heavy topic, I'll tell you that. It's a topic of so many podcasts. Everyone is talking about relationships these days, but no one is really trying. Well, let me not say no one, but a lot of the people who I hear speaking about relationships in their podcast, they're not trying to strike the balance. They're just going at each other. Man says this, woman says this, woman says this, man says this, blah, 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 blah. Be quiet. If you're not listening to understand, if you're not bringing the facts and objective thinking, objective journalism, then what you say is of no use to any of us. The talking just to talk is getting played out. But that's all I have at this time on this topic. So, misandry versus misogyny, not feminism. And if we want to tackle misandry, which was actually born out of fear by a lot of women because of misogyny, then we have to deal with misogyny. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Share this video as well. Let's start a discussion around this. Hashtag misandry versus misogyny. Yep. So, like, share, comment, subscribe, and let's keep the discussion going. So that's it for this episode. My name is Brianna Vernon, and this was the Independent Report.